Salutations, everyone, and welcome to Outstay. I'm one of your hosts, Overseer JC, here with Overdrive.
Yes, hi, I'm still alive, hi.
And Techno.
How you doing, people? What's up? How you doing,
What?
guys? See,
Just the awkward silence!
I don't know. My intro is off today. I don't know. So how you doing, guys? Whoever's listening to
We
this.
wasted all our energy talking about pandas and making innuendos.
Yeah, a lot. It's just energy draining, absolutely. But yeah, how you doing, people?
Not exactly in that order, by the way, but still.
I mean,
Interpret it however you want to do
care
it.
what order we were talking about?
No, not really.
Everything about the order matters, Joshua. You should know this by now.
Okay, before we even start with our topics, the funny part is, as far as I know, every part about conversations before a podcast begins in any podcast is somehow a lot funnier than when the podcast starts. And that's probably because they could just go all out and ham it.
It's the curse of inspiration. As soon as you find it, you start and you've lost it.
There you go. That's the way to put it.
Well, today,
so
we are basically
horror. What is it? Horror anthology.
Yeah, today we're going to be
gonna
talking
get
about
into that, right?
horror TV show anthology series, where basically the premise of these shows was episodic stories that could be finished in their regular time limit, or in two-parters, depending on the stories. And the four we're going to be talking about today is The Twilight Zone, Goosebumps, Are You Scared of the Dark, and The Haunting Hour. Now, before I start each topic, I got a quote from each one, and of course, if you don't know what quote it's which,
if you don't have the opening quote from what's it called? If you don't have the correct opening quote of
I'm pretty sure it's you're going to either say
what?
Twilight Zone or
of
Are You Scared of the
Twilight
Dark?
Zone.
Oh, I do.
Yes.
Let's start.
I don't give a shit about Are You Scared of the Dark. There's no opening quote for that one.
There actually is, and I wrote it down. Surprisingly,
What?
Okay, well,
there actually
what is this heresy?
We'll get to it when we get to that topic. So
you mean act of terrorism against pop culture? Are you kidding me?
Yes. Okay, so the Twilight Zone. There is a fifth dimension, beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition. It lies beneath the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone. And that's...
I don't feel like that's the right quote.
That is. There has been 4 different quotes.
I think you're full of shit.
That is the first one for the first.
Here we go.
There are actually 4, but I chose
There was no
first
mention of a dimension of sight and sound.
Do you think that was like the rerun one with Jordan Peele in it, or?
Yeah, that was.
I think it's the rerun, because I've seen the black and white one in the past few months, and I know you're full of shit.
No.
That was a rerun? That was a rerun run, right? That was a rerun run?
No, that was actually for the black and white one. That's for season 2 and 3. That was for season 1. Because after season 2,
I think you're full of shit.
You think I'm full of shit? Well, you see...
I think you're full of shit, more so than usual.
Alright.
Really?
Shit.
Well, you see here, The Twilight Zone has 4 iterations and 1 movie. The iterations go from 1959 to 1964. Then the first revival series was from the 1985 to 1989. And then, of course, they had one in 2002 to 2003. And the one we all know and I mean, I can't say if we love it or not because it's newer. The 2019 one that has not ended yet. The first one with Rob Sterling had 4 seasons. This is basically on top of my head. But right now I'm looking up the other introductions to him to prove you the fuck wrong. Because I actually did my research, and I chose one that I felt was particularly noticed for this series. And while I'm doing that, I'll start talking about my favorite story from the first Twilight Zone, The Hunt. It's basically about a hunter that goes off with his dog to go coon hunting. And when they try to return home,
Be careful how you
when they try to
be
return
careful how you use that word, please.
coon hunting, or
Yeah, be careful how you use that.
I'm using it in the way it should. They're shooting.
I don't get the joke
raccoons.
here, Abraham.
No. It's not a joke. It's a racial thing. Don't.
Ah.
It's a racial thing. Say
talking,
raccoon. Just say raccoon.
But
Say.
it's
Don't
that's
say that. Yeah.
really the
It's like no.
description
Trust
of
me.
the
People can interpret
episode.
it better. Okay, come on. Continue. Sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
Basically, when it comes to that episode, when he learns that he's dead, he is pursued by what he at first is considered God, and he shows him a gate, which basically is supposed to be heaven, and he asks, "Can I bring my dog with me?" And he says, "No, you cannot." And the dog kept trying to push him away, and he didn't know what was going on. And basically, he said, "Well, if I can't bring my dog into it, then what's the point in going to heaven if I can't?" So he leaves, and basically, once he leaves, and goes to sit down at a bench in purgatory, basically another man walks up to him. This time, instead of being like pristinely dressed in a suit, and like looked all fancy for the error, it was just a guy who basically looked like the hunter, just a outback hillbilly looking person with ragged clothes and nothing much. And when he asked where he was going, he was like, "Oh, I was just talking," and it was like, "Oh, we're gonna go raccoon hunting," and he was like, "Oh, may I join?" And basically, he went to heaven and when he asked, "What was that back there?" he was like, "Oh, that was actually hell." And it's like, "How do you know?" He's like, "Because of your dog." Because when it comes to animals, certain dogs could actually smell brimstone, and that's why he was barking. And the episode ends with him leaving with the man, and of course Rod Sterling talking about the Twilight Zone. Okay, this is season 2.
The nature of heaven and hell and blah 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 blah.
Well, no, it's more like don't fall
exactly.
for people's perceptions. Okay, season 2. You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. That's the signpost up ahead. You're stepping, next stop, the Twilight Zone. And then you got season 3. You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone. And season 4. You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond that is another dimension. A dimension of sight. A dimension of sound. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land between shadow and superstition. of things and ideas. You're just crossing over into the Twilight Zone. Those are the ones that you're probably thinking of.
Yes.
I did the first.
See,
season.
again,
It
people.
had nothing to do with all that.
I don't mean to interrupt here, but like me, I barely scraped the subject of horror anthology, so I'm pretty much being taught what these guys know more about than me.
Here's a story
So,
that you probably
that's my
know
comment.
of that I remember fondly. It's one that most people would learn in 6th grade reading. Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. Basically, it's the simple story of everyone being spooked about aliens. And basically, they keep thinking everyone else is an alien.
Oh, it's the Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, right?
Yeah. And it turns out
Monsters Are Due on Maple Street.
But everyone turns on each other thinking that they're aliens. And so yeah, that story. And also, funny enough, in the new 2019 version, they actually did a different take on Nightmare at 27,000 feet, where it's about a man who sees a creature on the wing of the plane that was going to make the plane crash. Yeah. But they actually did a revive of their own version called Nightmare at 300,000 feet. Basically just 10,000 more than the last one, which was about a man who goes insane, thinking someone's going to try and crash the plane. But
neat.
Actually, I do know three episodes from like the newest one, but like actually, I'm gonna mention this from like the old Twilight Zone. I don't remember anything of the alien one. I don't know if this might surprise you, but the one I do know about is the one where there's a very greedy family, and there's a senior man, right? There's a senior man who
you're talking about
is about to die, and he's gonna.
I don't know the name of the episode, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And me neither. I don't even know.
I think
but
it's
yeah,
called
you guys know what I'm talking about. The people.
Masks. I think it's
The
called
Mask.
I think it's called the Masks because I know what you're talking about. Everyone's there to watch their old man die to gain his fortune, and he says.
There you go.
He's
I remember
basically
seeing
like,
that one.
all you greedy.
I love the idea of him being known as their old man. That's the descriptor.
Yeah, that's true. I remember seeing that. And then there was another weird one was this was actually a surprise because I went on a YouTube binge, quote unquote, right? And but there was clips that I saw, and the one that really got to me was like where the sun was so close that as the sun kept on getting close to the earth, people
it was the midnight sun.
There was no way to get cool. There was no longer a way to get colder. Like the earth was getting close to the sun.
Oh, that's the one where everything's melting, right?
Yeah,
there you go. That one. I never even saw the episode.
It's called the Midnight Sun.
Yeah, but that one.
You should also know the other one where it's about the aliens that land on Earth to basically trick them into getting on their ship called To Serve Man, because it turns out in the end it was a cookbook.
Yeah.
When everyone thought it was them helping them.
Oh no, I've never seen that one. Never.
That's usually one of the.
I think my favorite episode is the cruelest episode. Would you like to know what the cruelest episode is?
Dude, just stop asking. Would you like to know and say it?
We would all like to know.
The cruelest
We're on the podcast. Come on,
the cruelest episode. I don't remember the full name of it, but it's the one where the guy is a book nerd who works at a bank, and everyone really hates him, and he decides to take the day to read on his break. He decides to go sit in the vault to read his books, and while he's in the vault, a nuclear bomb drops and wipes out everyone around him. Suddenly, he has all the time in the world to start reading, and he gathers up all the books he can from an old library, and he gathers them together, and he picks up the first book to start reading, and then his glasses fall and break, and he can't see. And the end of the episode is a pan out of him screaming he finally had all the time in the world, and now he has nothing.
No, he was screaming, "It's not fair, it's not fair, it's not fair."
Wow. Oh shit, that's actually
I mean,
cool.
if he
Wow,
squints his
that's
eyes,
an
I'm
impressive
pretty sure he
episode.
could read. If he tried hard enough. Not making
I
fun
mean,
of blind people, it's a joke.
Those glasses were pretty heavy.
I'm pretty
Those glasses were
surprised.
pretty fucking heavy.
Well, I was about to say I'm surprised it survived that fall, but then I remembered, oh wait, it didn't fall, he accidentally stepped on him.
Couldn't he just literally get glass bottles and just winged it?
I mean,
with that?
that'd be an interesting plan if only he could see to do that.
Dude, he could touch around and literally. Dude, I mean,
In the middle of a radioactive
don't
wasteland surrounded by broken down buildings, Abraham.
Dude, there's some.
Also,
Dude, glass
you're missing the
bottle,
poignant message. You're missing the poignant message.
All right. I respect that. I respect that.
One of the newer
you know what?
episodes,
I'll respect the lore. I'll respect the idea of the episode.
To me, the only newer episode I've actually watched was the first one, The Comedian.
Camille Nanjiani, hell yeah.
I don't fully remember the recap, but of course it's self-explanatory about
BTW. He does not give. He does not get free White Castle.
Wow, is that the big twist at the end? He doesn't
Just
get free
mentioning it.
White Castle.
I mean, Camille Nanjiani. Wasn't he in this movie of like was it Kumar and or whatever? I don't know. It was like him and another person. It was like surrounded. I don't know. We'd have to talk about that another time, but it's mainly a side topic I went off on. But yeah, the one who the comedian, the guy playing it's Camille Nanjiani.
Yeah,
Camille
I know. I was
Nanjiani.
trying to make a joke.
His name.
I know. The sad part is I know what movie
Yeah,
you're talking
alright.
about. And literally,
Exactly.
White Castle's in the name of the movie.
In the name. There you go. All right, continue on.
Basically, when it comes to how the Twilight Zone would appear, is of course each situation is in either the same universe, depending on how the stories would plan out, or in a different one, because you could stretch the belief to the fullest, and there are some that are shocking, like in the sense of you didn't expect that, like the one about a woman who goes into facial reconstruction surgery to not look ugly anymore, but when she undoes the bandages, she finds herself in a world where all humans are disfigured and ugly, and they call her a freak and try to kill her as she runs. And then there's one about an actress that seems timeless, but really, she's an ancient pharaoh who has the power of immortality by draining the life out of people with a scarab. But the way she does that is by drugging people that basically want to bang her, and then she kills them. As far as I know, the message was, don't fall for hot people. They could drug and kill you. And then there's,
Okay, with that aside, you just reminded me, because I feel like they use those topics a lot. Because you reminded me of one where there was a man who was an immortal, and he was a history professor, and he talked about history with such vivid passion that it caught the attention of another professor. The professor was actually going to be the man's father-in-law, and as they talked, the father-in-law realized that the man in question, he was an immortal of some kind, and he began questioning what would happen to his daughter when she grew old and he didn't. And it came to light that the man had a previous wife who had grown old and he had left her behind. At the end of the episode, the previous wife showed up and used a special ritual to kill the man. turning him to dust. The other one that I was reminded of had to do with the facial reconstruction thing, except it was the other way around. It was a woman who was going into reconstruction surgery because, or she was supposed to go into reconstruction surgery so that she wouldn't look ugly. However, she didn't want to. She was terrified of it because, as it would turn out in the twist of the episode, everyone in the society looks the same in adulthood. They're all exactly identical. Males and females, they each have a specific look, and everyone has that look forced upon them. Since she refused, she became an outcast. I swear to God, a Discord cut me out at that time.
No, we
I
heard
didn't.
everything.
I don't think it did. I can hear you. Yeah, we did.
But yeah, it's
just
like
so dead silent. I was like, "Well, fuck."
But
That's
when,
sorry. It's just
but
that
when it
I'm
comes
trying
to
to
the Twilight
remember.
Zone, it was one of the few, as I like to call it, founding fathers of televised anthology series. Because the rest before that time was basically just people showing B-list movies every week with a host. Like Spangoolie or I forget the others, but Science Theater.
Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah, that.
3000.
Yeah, those series where it's basically they just show you a old horror movie or sci-fi movie of the week. So Twilight Zone started a whole, instead of just taking free movies off of the internet to show people, let's create our own with deeper plots.
Yeah.
And that's how now, for series that we will cover in later episodes, like, crap, the newer one, I forget what it's called. I have a list for it. I think it's like something mirror. Where is it called? Where's my list? Like
Black Mirror. Black Mirror.
Yeah, Black Mirror. I was thinking it had something.
Isn't it Black Mirror?
Yeah, because Black Mirror is a horror. Yeah, Black Mirror is like a horror based show.
If horror anthology is also mixed in with this, I'm down to talk about Black Mirror. Shoot,
Yeah,
I'm your man.
it is a horror and thriller anthology, and it also spanned to the popular American Horror Stories, because even though it has a singular plot in each season, it's still horror anthology. Tell Jacob his voice is just not good. Are you dying in there?
Tried to dust the horror anthology, and
You just got possessed by.
I'll be allowed to.
And then you got series like
Okay.
The Hitchhiker.
Right. Your microphone really went horrible there.
Into the Dark, Night Gallery, The Outer Limits, Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt. Surprisingly, Urban Legends, which is a not fully horror, it's more
Creep
like
Show.
No, that's actually a movie, not a TV show. Creep Show.
Yeah, but it's a movie set as a horror anthology.
Yes, but
and there's two of them that are separate horror anthologies.
Yes, just like Tales from the Hood is a horror anthology movie. But we're talking about TV shows.
Yeah, there you go.
You have,
I'm talking about
you
TV
have
shows,
the,
man,
you
not
have
movies.
the specifics and somewhat spirit, but
Also,
yeah.
side note here. Yeah. Side note here. Many of the shows that that we are talking about, do not really know much about, because I'll be honest with you. Whoever's listening, I did not grow up in that culture. So, I mean, like, you guys can Overseer, Overdrive. You guys can mention whatever show, but you're gonna have to show me what is it? Like, teach me a little bit more about it. Like, not give a long description, maybe like a 2-minute, if anything. But for me, like, again, I didn't even take time to watch the Twilight Zone. I like the
last week when we discussed this for the first time,
Yeah.
we were talking about horror anthologies, and he had no idea what we were talking about. And his response to us bringing it up was, "I'm not white."
Yeah. I'm just gonna be thorough. I'm not white. I'm like, what else do you want me to say? What else do you want me to say? I'm not white, dude. I don't.
Say you're
But like,
not American.
I mean, I know other stuff, but like, how do I say it? It take it for me to explain more of like, I guess, quote unquote Hispanic culture. It would take me some research because I don't know. I know more folklore, right? Like it's more like stories by word, not written down or typed anywhere. It's more like I'd have to, I guess, ask people who know about. For example, if I want to talk about a topic based on the chupacabra or just like folklore based horror figures, quote unquote, right? Like some like for you guys, it's what Bigfoot or
There's like Indian
what
I don't
else
know
is
if
there?
folklore,
Bigfoot's
like
really a
the
horror monster as much as he is just, oh, that's what Uncle Jim died doing. He went out there in them woods and he just never came back.
When it
Or
comes to
this
Bigfoot, I
weird one
just
I
like
heard.
the theory that it's just a furry stuck in his fursuit.
So
Oh
the very
God,
first furry dating back to sometime in the 80s, probably a bit earlier.
Yep. Well,
man, I
But you
don't
were
know.
being serious, Abraham. I will allow you to go back
Oh
to
no,
your
I know, I
serious
know.
time.
It's okay, but yeah, that's at least for me. That's like that's what I would like to talk about. But again, I'd have to do some good research before I start claiming this, and that. So, but yeah,
yeah.
that's my piece. That's my side now. Go ahead, Josh.
Well, as far as
I'll
I know,
I'll return it back
this
to you.
basically, as far as I know, this series would be more up, as far as I know, Jacob's alley, because he likes to talk about it a lot. Are You Afraid of the Dark? It has actually 3 runs that I was surprised about. The original run was from 1990 to 1996, and then it got a reboot in 1999 to 2000, which surprisingly had 2 seasons about it, which surprised me. And it also has a reboot recently in 2019. And for the quote that's famous for this series, which Jacob didn't even think that this show had, basically each story before when it's introduced is submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. I call this story, and then
That's
says,
not the same thing as the opening for Twilight Zone. Don't even try and put those on the same
if it's
level.
the same thing,
No.
and listen, the way I put it, if it's a major
Listen,
quote
the
that
reason it doesn't count is because there's actually a story that takes place in the world of those kids. They have a mystical story happen to them. Therefore, it would be like the characters of a story saying the Twilight Zone monologue. It doesn't work.
when I say quote, I'm saying
Can you
what
imagine the
can
main
this
protagonist of, let's say, To Serve Man, suddenly cutting at the end of the series and going, and here's the Twilight Zone monologue, blah, 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 blah. No,
no
it doesn't work.
no no I
Damn. All right.
when I say quotes that I'm saying what can summarize the entire series in one quote. The beginning of the Twilight Zone, that summarizes the entire series in one quote. That one I just said summarizes everything you need to know about Are You Afraid of the Dark. It's talking about the it's talking about the Midnight Society and how you're about to experience a story that either happened to them or it's a story that they know happened around them. And surprisingly, the 2 seasons that are one's about to come out called Cure of the Curse of the Shadows, and the one that got rebooted in 2019 was called Carnival of Doom, which surprised me continues the story that happened back all the way in 1990 with all the same character. Well, different in the sense of they're different children playing them and probably the names, but the same because it's keeping with the core aspect of the Midnight Society there's something going on. Like,
let's
instead of it
not-
saying this is a
let's not
reboot,
mince words here.
it's
What happened with the with what's it called? Are You Afraid of the Dark 2019, the Carnival of Fear. Let's not mince words here to say, basically what it was they were doing the same thing that, damn it, what was it called? Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark did. It was, oh look, here's this horror story that we found. Oh god, we're in the horror story now.
I have
The
no
silence is deafening.
yes, but it's like I have no stories from this series that I
Wait, what?
actually enjoy, mainly because I've actually never watched a single episode except for one, and that's the one that you showed me, Jacob. But I never fully saw it through enough to understand what the whole plot was. So I'm actually gonna give this to you to talk about.
Real quick.
I
Sure
killed.
thing. Where do you want me to kick off here?
From the beginning, I guess.
Hold on, give me. All right. Well, I don't remember if this was the exact first episode, but there was the Tale of the Phantom Cab, and if I remember correctly, it was an introduction to one of the characters.
Can you bring your voice up?
He was blindfolded, and he was brought to the campfire, and he had to tell a tale. What?
Your voice
Bring
is
your
a
voice. Oh
little
my
low.
god, I can barely hear you.
Okay, hold on. Let me leave and then rejoin and see if that fixes something.
It's there now, but for some reason it keeps going quieter.
Well, Discord has gone an ominous yellow color, so I prefer to just go ahead and switch.
Okay.
Alright, do it quick.
Technical difficulties. But that's fine.
Yeah, sorry.
Alright, motherfuckers, I'm back. Let's do this.
Okay.
Okay.
Teach us this horror anthology series.
So first up, we've got The Tale of the Phantom Cab. Basically what it amounts to is these two fucking idiot Canadian kids getting lost in the forest. They find this dude in a cab who's like, hey, I can take you up to Dr. Vic. He's got some phone. And they go up to talk to Dr. Vic, and he's a real freaky weirdo, but the actor who plays him shows up in like 18 different series in this thing. But basically, he asks him a riddle, and when they refuse the riddle, they put him in the car, and they go to take him home. But it turns out they're not taking him home. The guy in the cab is actually a ghost. And if they don't answer the riddle, he's going to drive them to their death. And it's a really stupid riddle that doesn't go anywhere. We've also got some actually good ones, like The Tale of the Pool Zombie, where the school built an expansion on its gym area, and they added a pool. And in doing so, they accidentally disturbed a bunch of bodies that were supposed to have been moved to a new grave site. One of them got left behind. And that body reanimated, becoming what was effectively an invisible zombie. And it would go, and it would find people, and then it would drown them in the pool. And there's this really great sequence at the end of that episode where they're fighting the zombie, and they shower it in this special chemical. And it finally reveals the monster. And it is this absolutely horrifying abomination. Let me see if I can find a picture of it real quick. Joshua, you'll have to do the hard work of editing this into the actual thing.
Or I can just do the...
Give me a second. Station, because he was a radio nerd, which was apparently a thing in the 90s. But anyways, he was a radio nerd, and he was listening out for radio stations, and he caught this weird radio station that suddenly transported him into this waiting lobby. And he went up to try and figure out where he had ended up, and he knocked on this window, and then fucking Gilbert Godfrey pops out, and he starts going in this tirade, and it's like, kid, can't you fucking read? And it's like, alright, here we have, do knock the, and then we have, not on window, and then it says, do not knock on the window! But basically what it amounts to is Gilbert Godfrey thinks this kid is full of shit and trying to get back to the real world when he's actually not the dead person the message was meant for. And when it comes to light that Gilbert tried to, murder a child by sending him to the afterlife prematurely, he has this really great and awful bit, because it is Gilbert Godfrey after all, at the end where he goes, "Well, damn, I guess I'm in trouble with my boss."
Well, most of that, what you just tried to say near
dark.
What you were saying got cut out because I tried to say wait, because I tried to go see the image because editing.
All right, so what did you guys hear? Actually, no, it's not worth going back into it.
No,
basically, Gilbert Godfrey was there. Things happened. Ha ha ha. He's annoying.
No, it was basically.
Okay, cool. Got it. I was gonna say.
The clip ended when I was.
Did it stop
to show
recording or something?
It's recording again now, but when I tried to go look at the picture because editing is stupid and I didn't want to do that later. I went to go to the Discord to show the picture, and when I went to Discord, apparently it doesn't capture Discord. It only captures the sound. If I go on Discord, it automatically stops recording. So basically, I only got. This is
what you get for trying to be lazy.
Yes.
There must be like another system that we can use so that it can capture stuff on Discord.
Yeah,
like,
but that
those
recording softwares usually cost money. Okay, back to the topic of scaring the shit out of you.
All the same.
Again, we talked about this, Josh. We talked about this. Eventually, in the future, we're gonna have to do something about that.
I don't get paid enough for this.
Last week, and I'm going to do it now. We're getting off topic.
I don't get paid enough for this.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't get paid enough for this. Come on, what you got, Overdrive?
I would also say that there are 2 episodes that I definitely think are worth watching, outside of just the pool zombie episode, which was abstract horror. The first one is, it's real simple. It's these 2 kids who work in a theater. You know, those things where you used to go watch movies that aren't going to exist in like a year and a half?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's real sad. But, basically, they get this movie, weird guy, the same guy who played the weird doctor in the Phantom Cab. And, he's like, well, your series your movie theater seems to be running out of, movies. And it's like, well, I guess, you should use my movies, and you should get them to play. And it's like, here, try this one. And they take it, and it's the movie Nosferatu. And it's a huge hit, but then the theater decides, no, we're not going to accept any further movies from you. Get the fuck out of here, weird dude. Weird dude says they'll regret it, and, Nosferatu emerges from the film screen. And basically what it is, it's these kids being chased around by this horrifically mutated vampire who's like 7 feet tall, deathly silent, and entirely black and white. And it is the most horrifying shit.
Damn.
For kids.
Worth watching is about this, Go ahead.
No, I was like, for kids.
Hello?
For kids.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
The joke of...
The other one is about this vampire who gets shipped into a hospital, and he basically spends the entire time torturing these 2 kids who are, kids. They're like 20-somethings pretending to be teenagers. Let's not beat around the bush here. Basically, these quote-unquote kids who are at the hospital, and this vampire is basically chasing them around, killing everybody, turning them into vampire thralls, and trying to catch these kids. And when they finally confront the vampire on the roof of the hospital, they have this really horrific thing where they defeat the vampire and then throw him off the building, and he bursts into flames, and his deteriorating corpse plummets to the street below and crashes into the pavement. For kids!
Oh my lord, that's crazy. I'm serious. That is insane. That is crazy.
Surprisingly enough, that's not even going to be the goriest
Goosebumps
series
is actually for kids, and then we have...
Yeah. Sorry, what is it? Overdrive? What is it?
Are You Afraid of the Dark is sarcastic for kids. Goosebumps is actual for kids.
Yeah, that says a lot, doesn't it?
We shit on the Canadians a lot, but damn, do they know how to do horror.
Funny.
Yeah, they did
Fun
something they
fact,
didn't do before.
Goosebumps is also Canadian.
Why am I not
I
surprised
mean,
to
yeah,
hear
but
that?
it's made by an American author. They're working from a source material. Are You Afraid of the Dark does not have a source material.
Okay, well, so we don't have silence. Basically, what's the main story of Are You Scared of the Dark besides the stories?
Oh, it's a bunch of kids going to a campfire every week, socializing in this weird wardrobe that definitely 5 kids from entirely different neighborhoods, who shouldn't have met in the first place, mind you, wouldn't know. And apparently they're the Midnight Society, and they go out there, they throw magnesium powder into a fire to signify the start of a story, talk about the story, there's some background plots, and then eventually they have one where they end up fighting the ghosts of the original members of the Midnight Society who were like in the 60s or some shit.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
actually does.
Well,
Pretty enjoyable.
Yeah.
well, now let's talk about what you like to call the American joke of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Goosebumps! That was stupid.
I
But
didn't say it was the joke of Are You Afraid of the Dark. I said it was the bitch of Are You Afraid of the Dark.
There you go. More like it, yeah.
well, Goosebumps.
All right.
The best Goosebumps episode barely competes with the worst Are You Afraid of the Dark.
Well, Goosebumps, the
Really?
series went from 1995 to 1998. And of course, the quote that summarizes the entire series is, "Viewer beware, you're in for a scare," which is the televised version of the books, "Reader beware, you're in for a scare." Funny enough, there's only been 58 out of the 147 stories ever written from the original Goosebumps series. From Goosebumps to
Listen,
Tales That Give You
we can
Goosebumps
pause this whole thing right now.
to Goosebumps
There
series
are
2000.
only 2 really good Goosebumps monsters that were successfully adapted into the film. Or not the film, into the TV. The first one is The Haunted Mask Part 1. The Haunted Mask 1, which comes in 2 parts. The Haunted Mask Returns is okay, but it's not great. And then there's, of course, Night of the Living Dummy.
I mean, I actually appreciate.
Would you like to hear about...
I actually appreciate One Day
Go
at
ahead.
Horrorland because it's more
That one's
subtle
too
than
cheesy
the
for my
other
tastes.
two. The other two, it's more like
That one's
one's
too...
about physical horror, and the other was more of psychological horror with the sense of that's a living fucking dummy. But A Day at Horrorland, it's more subtle. It's disguising its villains as, oh, they're just in a costume. This is a horror theme park. It's like it's supposed to be like that. Which they never question. They never
It's not
question.
subtle, it's Goosebumps.
Yeah, but it's like they never question.
It's
how
not
they...
subtle, it's Goosebumps.
Okay, subtle for Goosebumps. Is that better? Probably not.
I'd say the only real good subtle for Goosebumps is when Goosebumps has a twist that really just comes out of nowhere to say fuck you to the audience. Like, The Invisible Boy. That one was pretty good when you learned that the main character you'd been following, outside of the Invisible Boy himself, they're all actually a bunch of fucking aliens who keep humans in zoos and shit. They didn't feel like adapting that one into a horror story for TV, now did they?
One that I actually was surprised that they didn't was a book that actually I enjoyed was The Horror at Camp Jilly Jam. Because
yeah, that one could have been a good one.
Yeah, because it's like
they shouldn't have adapted The Curse of the Mummy the way they did. Those two were awful.
And of course, the way they adapted The Blob That Ate Everything. I didn't like how they did that.
Now, Abraham,
Abraham, while we're on the topic of Goosebumps,
Yes.
you know modern media a bit better than old school media, right?
Yeah, a little bit more. I'll be honest with you.
What is your
Listen.
opinion on the Jack Black version of Goosebumps?
Oh God, where to start? Like I didn't actually. I didn't watch this one because I'm actually like I. Well, for one, I will start with this. I did not go to the movie theater. I did not go weekend or the next week like when it came out. No, I do. What I did find it refreshing is like out of all the people really like Jack Black. I feel like in a way Jack Black does fit the role, like as a uh how do I say it? Funny character to be there. Like yeah, like I actually liked his energy, his like how do I say it? Comedic quote unquote energy that he brings to the movie. I just think that like the movie could have had a little bit more work done. Uh, the monsters on there, I do admit they were actually at least in my opinion, they had like good designs. And but I don't like the story. I don't really know well. Like I saw what it. How do I say it? I saw the characters, I saw the monsters, but I don't know the story well, so I really can't really speak on it much. But what I will mention as like what I wanted to say before you mentioned modern media of Goose, like such as the movie of Goosebumps. I do not my episode that I found the most interesting one for like 1990s 1995 to 1998
Yeah.
was the one where this where there's this camera or some weird thing that
Yeah,
took a
say
picture
cheese
and then
and
like in that
die.
picture something went wrong.
Yeah, say
Yeah,
cheese
there
and
you go.
die.
That's my favorite
They
episode.
had 2 sequels,
Say
Say
Cheese
Cheese
and
and
Die. Yeah,
Die and
that's a good
Save
episode.
Cheese and Die Again.
Yeah, you go. I love those episodes. Those have definitely stuck as a good memory for me, at least for Goosebumps. But the mask one was also a good one too. But again, I wish if I find a way of watching the previous Goosebumps, I will, and as well as the movie because well, I never really gave it a shot, and so before I
Even though they made a second Goosebumps movie that went straight to DVD.
see what I mean,
Well,
like,
funny enough,
and I don't mean to judge it. Like they might have done some good work, but just people aren't interested in it anymore. Like
See,
they're
The only
seeking.
character kept from the first Goosebumps movie and the second Goosebumps movie was Jack Black. That tells you the
Yeah,
quality
yeah,
right now.
to me, okay, to
yeah,
me, to
man.
talk about the movies, to me, the first Goosebump movies, it was more like an homage to, like I said, the 147 stories, because it had almost everyone from those books in it. And it was a great homage, and even at the end, where the movie's about to end, and then Jack Black gets, basically almost killed by the invisible boy from the story that Jacob just talked about, it was an homage to all of them. Just all of the great stories that everyone grew up, watched the original show, and enjoyed, and people liked it because it tried to wrap up everything, and it did a great job.
Yeah,
But then the second one came out, and I actually watched it because it was on Netflix. I couldn't get through the first 10 minutes of it because it was complete shit. It's basically more of, this is what Goosebumps is now, with literally its shit ton of spin-offs on the, literally, I go to Walmart and on the shelves is Goosebumps Slappy Land, or Goosebumps, a spin-off of one of their key characters that makes them a fuck ton of money. Instead of, like, stories that give you
yeah,
Goosebumps.
fright.
This is Jack Black's new
Yeah, it's like, here's Slappy Land, here's Horror Land. To me, the one shot of a day at Horrorland is more scarier than an entire book series talking about Horrorland. And then, because it keeps the mystery alive. And then, when it comes to,
You guys
he did. Um, and one of my, favorite episodes, besides, the last one I talked about, is Trouble in Terror Tower. Mainly because it was basically about a group of children who just go on a non-suspecting tour of a tower, and then somehow get transported back in time when they step through, and then when they come back to their real world, somehow their entire history was rewritten, as they were somehow the the prince and the princess that was killed in the tower of the story that they were just in a tour of. Which, to me, was a excellent twist on the first part of the two-part episodes. Because it made you actually wonder what the fuck just happened. Because when they tried to give a taxi driver money to take them to where their parents are, he was like, kid, are you gonna give me real money? And they're confused because they did, as far as we know, gave them real money. And it's like just them doing that and also running from the creature of the executioner of the tower was just a phenomenal episode. I was surprised they were able to pull it off in 1990s style. I think Jacob's.
Sorry.
I'm here.
Can you hear?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Can
Okay,
you hear
continue what you're trying to talk about before you cut off.
A thing that they would make really old video games and just real life shit that's based on your game.
Yes.
Yeah, Horrorland video game in that style, and the main antagonist was Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
You know that, Josh.
Wait, what? I didn't hear hardly anything. Something about Jeff Goldblum.
You know when they used to do video games that were in the movie style?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't the movie video games, it was video games that were just recordings of real life stuff that people had acted out.
Yeah.
Yes. What about it?
There was a Day at Horrorland video game like that, Joshua, and the main antagonist was Jeff Goldblum dressed up as a vampire.
What? I don't remember that being. No? The main protagonist was a kid. Because the whole point was of the Day at Horrorland.
No, the main antagonist.
Oh, you. No? The main antagonist.
In the Day at Horrorland video game.
The main antagonist was the horror.
There was like
the people that ran the
No. There was a Day at Horrorland video game, and Jeff Goldblum was the main antagonist in that Horrorland video game.
I don't remember Jeff Goldblum being in there at all. I've played the Wii and the DS version of that game, and the whole story
Why have you played?
Because you know Kendall.
Hold on a second. Are you talking about
the Day at Horrorland video game?
Hold on.
Literally, the story of that game was that you were a kid with your best friend. You go to Horrorland because you got a ticket just in the mail because, you know...
No. This wasn't a... You're thinking of the PlayStation game and the Wii game. No. I'm talking about, like... This was like Atari and Jaguar shit, dude.
Damn, that old? Wow.
Okay, you intrigued me. And then
Escape from Horrorland, 1996. Sorry, it was for Microsoft Windows 95 and CD-ROM.
Whoa.
Huh.
R.L. Stine's Goosebumps, Escape from Horrorland, a scary Goosebumps adventure, play if you dare, and there's 3 spooked-looking children on the front cover. Big spooks.
Oh, wow, that's old.
Huh.
I did find the game you were thinking of.
Yeah,
Let
because
me grab the cover for that one real quick.
Because that's the only game of Goosebumps that I remember they ever had. Because the whole point was that you're trying to gather the pieces of your ticket so you can leave. Because right as you enter the park, the horror was like, oh yeah,
You weren't thinking old enough, my friend.
no, I wasn't. But he was like, hey, you have the ability to enter and exit this horror theme park as long as you have this ticket. Let me just rip up this ticket so you're stuck in here until you get it all back. You know, like a masochist or a sadist, or, you know, a horror trying to tell kids you're stuck here forever. And that's as far as I got. Because
man.
because the Wii game broke before before we could finish it, because you had to get one section of the ticket in a place where you had to use a horror mask where it transforms you into one of the horrors, the creatures that ran the
Yeah.
place, and he did that. But then when he logged back in the next day, somehow it didn't count the ticket, and he wasn't able to put on the mask anymore to disguise himself in those forbidden areas. And I was like, why did you do this? I wanted to finish.
Yeah.
Back to your family.
These are completely different. All right. Well,
You know, I mean, of course Jeff Goldblum
I
would
will
be
say
a
it's
main
pretty funny
villain.
that this. I do find it amusing that we got two very, very different Goosebumps games, but they're about the same book.
Yes. Which surprises me.
so which one do you think is the best out of both of them? The one that so-called developer Elastic made, or more the DreamWorks Interactive one?
Neither.
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 They
Fair
could
point.
do so much better with the Goosebumps IP, but yet they don't. Because they rather
See,
make
here's a game
money.
that I would play, even if it was just like some stupid app game. You know those like I think you know the .io games where you're running into people and getting bigger over time?
Yes.
I want one of those, but it's the blob that ate everything.
Oh my god.
Oh man, that would be cool. I mean,
Like,
at least
it's
how
just
it
a
sounds
stupid
would
mini
sound cool.
game where you're just rolling around as the blob. I want the blob that ate everything, and it's just you getting progressively bigger and eating more things.
To the point where you no longer even fit on the screen.
I'm sure the end screen is just like the blob that ate everything, but it's a planet-sized blob just floating there.
That would be
Wait,
an
that's how
interesting take on that.
Agario is
Yeah,
made.
I could see.
First it starts out with the blob that ate everything, and then it becomes big enough to swallow a planet, so it keeps moving on, and different planets have different blobs, and so they fight to get more items to grow bigger. That's the story behind Agario. The
The
secret
sequel to
lore.
the first of these stupid mobile app blob that ate everything games is actually called Blob Wars, and it's not as well received, obviously, but still.
Exactly.
Not to confuse itself with its predecessor, just Blob.
All right. Well, now that we talk about Goosebumps, what is the next one you want to talk about?
Okay,
Is this it, or
the last one we're gonna talk about is one that's gonna either shock y'all or not at all. It's basically gonna be more in my step of the woods because this is all I watched when I was 10 to 14. R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour.
Got it.
It's
Enlighten
I
us,
remember this, but only because it had a scarier version of Slappy.
Yes, but basically, the first rendition
Lily
of...
was horrifying.
Yes, that's what got me into it, and what got me into anthology series was the 2007 movie. It scared the living fuck out of me. And the quote that is basically the title of the movie, but basically how to basically make sure you don't scare the shit out of you when you're talking about this series. Don't think about it. Just because the whole point of the movie to not think about a certain monster I'm not gonna think about or talk about in this. If you want to learn about that, please go watch R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour. Don't think about it movie. That's as far as I'm talking about that, because I'm not gonna think about it. Basically, the series itself ran from October 29th, 2010 to October 11th, 2014.
Also, Joshua, I'm pretty sure that you're safe to think about the thing you're thinking about, because, wasn't the main plot point that it was released from a book, and then that book got burned?
Yes, but you gotta be safe. It's R.L. Stein, The Haunting Hour, for fuck's sake. Literally,
Joshua, you're paranoid.
Yes, and that's why
Josh.
I like this. Listen, the only story of The Haunting Hour based on a book was the movie. The entire series, except for a handful based on the books that they tried to make with it, but they just gave up on it, and to make R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour more frightening, all original. It basically destroys anything you thought about, Are You Scared of the Dark? Because if Goosebumps is, Are You Scared of the Dark's bitch, then The Haunting Hour is the alpha male of that pack.
The one that really got my attention hardcore outside of Lily was this one where this kid was being bullied, and he had all these pet bugs, and the bugs listened to him, and the bugs would go and devour the bullies. But then slowly, as the bullies went away and people became scared of the kid, he became a bully himself, and he started bullying the bugs. And the end of the episode was him waking up to his room being completely full of bugs and just being swarmed. And then it slowly zooms in on the bug in the little, like, terrarium case as the child is screaming in the background.
Yeah, for kids. But, fun fact...
I don't think that one's for kids. That one's for teens.
But, fun fact, the one thing that shocked my eyes when I was doing my research for these series, out of all these series, even the Twilight Zone, this is the first series, not only that it, tries to scare people, or, that it, can kill off people. It's the first one I saw, because I watched all but most of Are You Afraid of the Dark. Everyone can die. Literally, a kid's show trying to tell you children are not immortal or safe from killers. Because it still scares me just talking about this show. Because the Twilight Zone...
It scares you?
Yes, because when you think about the Twilight Zone,
Why?
episodes of it are either to twist on the main character or to twist on the bad guy of the episode. Because it's supposed to be the comeuppance of someone's ideals. Yeah. But when it comes to The Haunting Hour, these are physical creatures that are in this world. Like, one that's less scary, Scary Mary. Basically, Goosebumps' rendition of Bloody Mary. Which, fun fact for you podcasters, we're recording this on Valentine's Day, which is the whole point of Bloody Mary. Fun fact for that. Of course, it doesn't help that we're talking about horror game, like shows at 10:30 at night. Just to tell y'all all that. I don't like how I live alone. They have family to protect them. I don't. Okay, but Scary Mary is their rendition.
You're living alone?
Well, yeah, in a camper, while my mother is in a more safer house with lockable doors. But basically,
That's good.
Scary Mary is their rendition of Bloody Mary.
Your cowardice, Joshua. It's worth noting that doesn't matter if you have locks if there are windows.
Stop it!
Okay, let's just
I'm not
stop.
gonna
Let's just stop.
sleep
Let's just
tonight.
stop. Let's just stop.
Okay, but basically, Scary
All
Mary.
right, for real, let's just quit.
To me, Scary
let the
Mary
man
is
let the
the
man get some
less.
food tonight.
Yeah, it's like, to me, Scary Mary is the less scary one because it's basically just a ghost that was burned because she was too focused on being good looking that she basically tricks children or teenagers to use her hairbrush and to steal their face. And the surprising part, she succeeds. It's a two-parter, and she succeeds in getting the main character and taking her face off. The only thing she doesn't succeed at is her final plan, which was to use the face of that woman and then trick her boyfriend into taking her out of the mirror and into the real world. See, the only cunningness I have to say, he is a faithful boyfriend if he knows which one's the real one. And then he takes her and runs out. And then the twist at the end is that now he's haunted by Scary Mary for the rest of his life until he basically takes her out of the mirror realm, which of course he's probably never going to do. That's the less scary one. Then you got episodes like Pumpkinhead, where it's about kids who are mad that they can't go trick-or-treating on Halloween. So you know what they do? They ransack some farmer's farm. And in the process, the farmer doesn't do anything. And then one of the kids, because he was like, you just know, murderous intent in the background. But then they open up his shed. You know, trespassing even more, like breaking and entering. And then there's just what we like to think there were mannequins with pumpkin heads on it. Like, just regular jack-o'-lanterns. But they weren't. Because, during the episode, they actually kidnap, the main brother of the group. Not the main character, that was the sister. But the older brother that started this whole thing gets kidnapped. So she goes out with, for some reason, she brings her young brother with them. Thinking, just bring someone else to this murderous farm to save someone. That will help. He just sleeps in the car. And while she's trying to find her brother, she comes across into the field of the pumpkins, and the farmer walks up on her. And, well, when they first met, he placed his hand on the brother and said, he's not ripe yet. Which kind of creeped them out, but they're like, oh, that's just a farmer talk. Well, when she comes across the farmer...
Yo, that's unsettling right there.
Yeah, when she comes across the farmer at night looking for her brother at the farm, because that's what she thought he was taken to, the farmer kneels down and shows off one of his pumpkins. And it's his head slowly being turned into a pumpkin. with his hand being misshapen and misformed, like it's a crop itself over the head saying, "Not right just yet." And of course, she tries to run.
Yeah, that's messed up.
She tries to
Oh,
run.
wow.
It's not even over yet. You thought that was the twist. It's not over yet. She tries to run, but she's getting chased down by living pumpkin creatures. Like,
Yes.
you know that old Halloween poster where it was just like a jack-o'-lantern, but half of its face was like cut off, where it's like sharp teeth, and one of the teeth was like a knife, like the old Halloween style poster, right? That's basically almost what they look like.
Yeah,
They're basically, they look like normal pumpkins, but they're more mixed-figured. If I after the podcast, I should show you, or if you're can do that, just look up R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour pumpkin heads, and then go to the pictures. It should show you pictures of what they look like, and they are horrifying. And they get her. And the twist is, at the end, is it just a scene where the kid's still sleeping in the car, and the pumpkin head version of his sister comes up on the car. And then it cuts to credits. And of course, they just, before the series ended, they had a sequel called Return of the Pumpkinheads. Basically ends the same way. Everyone fucking dies. And it's just horrifying.
Jesus.
And that's just one of them.
God.
Another, let's see if Jacob has something. Because I heard him
You got something to say?
On
Overdrive?
the topic of pumpkins. I don't know why, but the entire time you were talking about this, I was thinking about a weird Scooby-Doo episode, or rather Scooby-Doo movie. In context, this starts with a gang, Scarecrow, Batman.
You go off and on, my guy. Go reconnect, my guy. You gotta this
Hold on, I'll be back in a second.
Alright, we're gonna quickly.
But,
Alright, go ahead.
Turn.
Okay, go ahead.
Basically, it starts with the Scooby-Doo gang defeating the Scarecrow. Batman's the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
And, they get an ominous warning, and the Scarecrow gets put in prison. But then, Scooby and Shaggy find a pumpkin patch after they've done trick-or-treating. And that pumpkin patch is filled with Scarecrow's fear toxin. And apparently a truck derailed, and that truck was full of radioactive shit. And all the pumpkins come to life. And giant pumpkin monster thing starts eating people and turning them into flying pumpkin monsters that attack them. And Velma ends up having to trust and work with the Scarecrow so that everybody else doesn't get eaten and killed. And yeah, there's also a guest appearance by Bill Nye. It's real fucking weird.
Bill Nye the Science
that
Guy.
is weird.
But going back to the episodes of The Haunting Hour, another episode, The Dreamcatcher. Basically, its premise is it's an all-girls camping retreat type deal, and this girl, of course, just like in real life, her best friend becomes a psychotic bitch and thinks she's better than her.
Yeah.
And so she leaves her, and basically she's just lonely. But that doesn't even set up the villain.
Yeah.
That doesn't even set up the villain, because when it comes to the villain, it does Freddy Krueger better than Freddy Krueger, because it's about a type of monster that it doesn't just kill because he's a psychotic demon creature. He kills to eat their soul, and he does it to children. And the way you only get hints of the reason he can be in the real world by how the counselors, basically their only protection against him is by telling the campers to make a the Indian style dream catchers. That's the only way to protect yourself against him. Well, like I said, the psychotic bitch decides, this person, I don't like her anymore because, I'm a psychotic bitch. And so I'm gonna mess with the main character's dream catcher. Cut it up. And so, since she cut it up, she saw glimpses of the dream catcher. That's his name. Or basically the creature's identity. Yeah. Well, during the night, a lot of the campers are killed in their sleep. And of course, it being the haunting hour, the camp's not fucking closed after, some children are dead. And so it continues on. Well, one of the main character's real friends that she makes during camp basically is trapped in the dream realm. And so she sets an alarm, because she's smart, to go into the dream realm.
Yeah.
And basically, in the most horrifying scene, she comes up to the lair of the dream catcher, which is a giant spiderweb type cave, because the entire thing is just padded with what you would see in, like, giant spider movies, where it's like the entire floor is webs. It's just like a bouncy callus over. No matter where you step, there's just web. And you just see clothing.
Yes.
Just clothing of victims before her. Showing that his kill count ain't something to laugh at. And basically, she finds her friend, gets her out, and they start running. But, of course, the psychotic bitch, being who she is, I don't know why she was even there, decides to just go back in there to try and kill them. AKA, try and trap them in there. I don't know why, but she tries. And so they're running from them, and, they get cornered by him. He's about to kill these people. And then her alarm goes off. And even he hears the alarm. And so the two friends, the main character and the one she came for, disappear from the realm.
Yeah.
But what's unsettling is that the psychotic bitch is still asleep in the mess hall with no one there to wake her up. And so it ends with her saying, "I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake!" And, just the dreamcatcher slowly walking towards her, just saying to her, "If you're awake, why am I here?" And it just ends like that. And then, of course, like y'all probably watched the Lily, dolls, story. Those are more like between Slappy and Child's Play, because it's a doll created for the purpose of fucking killing this child, because her main goal is basically to steal the life of this snot-nosed brat, deliberately created by the company to do this. And when she fails, well, technically she succeeds, but of course, them wanting to, try and say she's redeemable, have their family figure out what's going on and get her back into her body, because, they're swapping bodies and all that. Well, of course, they had another episode called Return of Her. She tries to do the same thing, but as far as I know, I haven't really watched the full episode, so I don't know how it ends. She could die for all I know.
Yeah.
Then you got stories like Game Over, where modern times it's a zombie game where the main character gets pulled into a game head by a game master, and he is challenged to go through this entire game with his 4 friends. And his friends, it's basically turns into a type of you die in the game, you die in real life, to where he loses all his friends, and then when he goes up to the game master, turns out this suspicious looking zombie video game that they were playing,
Yeah.
basically, if the person kills the game master, they become the game master, and they're stuck in the game until another person comes into the game and kills them. Where it's an endless loop of just killing after another. And then what most people like to call the scariest episode, the mascot. Basically, these kids are just kind of pissed that their school doesn't have school spirit. And so they think it's because of the mascot that they're not doing their job correctly, so they have no team spirit. So basically, they go to the adults because,
Exactly.
that's what kids do. And so they're like, hey, we don't like this mascot. Can we get a new one? Like, tryouts for a new one. And they're like, literally the principal's like, it's not my job. Go ask the coach. They go and ask the coach. The coach is literally like, I literally, got the head, like, the head of, sports and all that, the head manager, that the child, for sports and all that, he is, above,
Yeah.
doing all that. But surprisingly, that one child went missing. And no one knows where he went. And so basically, they themselves, due to the manager being gone, took it upon themselves to basically find the mascot and tell him, hey, you're fired. And, this guy, the mascot, he never takes off his outfit. And he's just called Big Yellow. And basically, they do tryouts, have kids, do tryouts, and then you just see Big Yellow come in and try and peacefully get his spot back. Well, of course, they didn't choose him. So you know what he did? He followed the kid who won back home and got him at night while he was walking home. Which I don't understand how it took him that long after school to start walking home when it was pitch black and, it's shady with a giant guy in a yellow, mascot costume following you. And basically, one of the main 2 characters wakes up and Godfather style, finds the severed head of the wolf costume. Diverting expectation, because you're like, oh, the head. No, it's the mascot head. So they're like, he's missing. Something happened to him.
Yeah.
And basically, one of the kids was like, you know what? I don't care anymore. I just don't want to be part of this. While the other kid's like, we have to find out who this guy is, because apparently no one knows who's the mascot. And so he goes to basically the basement where the mascot supposedly lives. Well,
Yeah.
the mascot himself rigged up his house for intruders to come in, fill it with poisonous gas to almost kill the child, but he escapes, and in the process, tries to face him instead of doing the sensible thing and calling the police that he's being attacked by a person. Well, he goes into the auditorium and finds out the mascot
Got
is
it.
just sitting there, waiting for him. And so he goes up to the
Alright.
mascot and takes off his head to see what's underneath him. Well, nothing. Nothing's underneath the costume. Because turns out that creature
Damn.
is alive and can survive with its head being off. And so when he
Yeah.
inadvertently mocks the costume for being stupid and ugly and why it's even there, it gets angry. And so
Yeah.
it physically
Yeah. Oh.
its face physically
Alright.
turns mad, and then it gets up and he eats the child. He eats him whole. That's why most people have been going missing. Because somehow this creature of unknown origin has just been mascotting as a mascot. And if anyone tries to take him away from that position, just eats them. Because when his friend, the one that decided not to go with this crazy guy's delusions and all that, tries to find his friend because he's been missing for a day or so, he just sees, like, during the next basketball game, the mascot's there, and he's yelling for his friend. He keeps trying to call him, but nothing answers. And it just quickly zooms into the guy's body. And there's the guy in the mascot costume and the main character that we just saw confront him in his belly, slowly dying of battery acid. And the reason why is because he tries to call his phone, and he hears the phone in the guy's belly, but the guy's phone dies before he can answer it. And so it basically ends with the creature going off screen and winning, because he's still the mascot. And it's like, this series, it's scarier than you think, and it was brilliant, but you have to just question yourself, this was for children. Like, these stories, to me, the one that's less obvious of what it's supposed to, like, tell is the one, I forget the name of the episode, but basically, it's about a child, which on her birthday, she finds out it hurts when she touches metal. And so she was like, oh, I'm just allergic to metal.
She has an iron deficiency.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, turns out, because when she goes into the woods behind her house, turns out she's part fairy. And the fairies of the woods come out and it's like, hey, be a part of us. We're just like you. Metal hurts us, and you can be part of us. And she doesn't suspect anything wrong. And when she asked, how do I get to be with y'all forever and like be a fairy? And they're like, oh, Nothing much. All you have to do is steal your brother, your baby brother, from your family and give it to us. And basically, just thinking, is that the right thing to
Basically,
do?
in a nutshell. Oh, okay, yeah. In a nutshell.
Well,
And so, what's like the lesson out of the episode?
It's R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour. I don't even think there are lessons in these episodes.
Lessons, yeah. That's what
I mean,
yeah,
most of them
exactly.
most of them
But
are
like, again,
don't be a jerk. Or don't be a
don't be a jerk.
smartass and all
You
that.
never know what's under the. Just like simply don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, and
If
basically
not, you could
she
end up with the worst consequence.
she plots. She actually takes a long time to think, which you would think the real question, the answer should be no. I'm not going to steal my brother, but she actually takes a long while to come up to that decision, and then you don't know she made that decision until she goes back into the woods. And when the fairies come up to her,
Exactly.
to take the baby, she comes up bearing a stick of iron, like cast iron, while she was wearing mittens so it wouldn't hurt her. And she basically tries to hurt them. Well, because of that, now she's basically banished from the woods, and now is haunted by the creatures of the woods. Because it just ends with the forest just eyes everywhere.
Got it. Alright.
And of course, to me, the funniest one has to be, this will be the last one, because I'm pretty sure you're tired. It's basically...
Yeah, I'm tired. Like in a nutshell now, like I just wanted to say, like, when it comes to these sort of things, like, we could talk and talk, but I was like, numb it down to in a nutshell format, and then let's point out what the points of the story are, and then let's move on to the next one. Like, for like, how do I say it? Finish this one. Go ahead. I'm not stopping you.
Okay.
But
well, this one's pretty simple. It's
what I'm
it's about a kid who is scared of clowns, and basically it's his birthday's coming up, and so the big twist of the whole thing is his entire family is clowns, and he is a clown. Like, it's not like some job, it's actually like a race where people are clowns. And basically it ends with him turned into a clown, and he's basically, as far as I know, is shitting himself.
Dang.
Because he's scared of clowns. But yeah, I know what you mean, try and summarize it, but it's like, when I talk, I want to get the full point across that it's an underrated show that was canceled before its time. But in the same sense, that's a good thing. Because if not, it would have turned into most other series that are just not as good. And so, we'll be ending off here. Because I'm pretty sure Jacob just quit. And I'm pretty sure Abraham is tired. So that is all for this episode. I don't know what topic we'll do. I'll do next or we'll do next, but we're going to bed now.
Yeah. All right. Well, for episode 2, we will continue. We will actually consider what we're going to talk about, and we'll move on hopefully from horror anthology to something a bit more. It was actually interesting, but I feel like not fear, but I feel like we could have done a bit more shorter descriptions and a bit more moving on, right? Like, keep up the pace. Let's keep on. Like, maybe we could have added stuff that that we wanted to talk about. But this is another. We'll be learning.
Yeah.
We're learning just to try and get somewhere with this podcast, and even though we're not doing videos as we would like, because again, I'm in college, and for people, at least for me, for Techno Titan / Monster, because I go by 2 usernames, I um I would like to record videos. I would like to record videos apart from doing the podcast. I want to record videos. I want to. Who knows? I'm gonna admit I have future plans of, like, if there's like conventions and stuff, we could record ourselves going there. Maybe have costumes, but that's just an idea. And hopefully we can get there one point after the current global situation that's going on. And hopefully in the future I can, I don't know, get an Elgato recording device and manage to get a good, not like what, no, 40p 1040p recording wise, but something going so that I can start my little video collection as well. And as for the podcast, I would love to continue it. I enjoyed today's topic. Yes, a bit shorter, but a bit shorter would have been better. But for people out there who would like to follow us, who would like to subscribe to our channel, I greatly appreciate it. Our content will be there, and I appreciate each and every one of you. But again, we're just starting, and we're giving it a chance to see if, well, hopefully we can make something out of this. Again, with the podcasting, I hope we can continue it and continue to make content for the people who are out there listening.
Yep.
So, that's all for me. Go ahead, Overseer.
Well, for the finishing things off, just in case, because most likely, to give y'all a, like, some time to cool off, because I know you have college and he has work and college. Next week, I'm going to
Yes.
just do, for the second episode, it's probably going to be a more in-depth look at the stories of Goosebumps and The Haunting Hour, as, like, a essay type thing, because when I look on YouTube, I actually
There you go.
tried to look for, like, essay reviews and all that for, like, that type of series, because there's a lot for the Twilight
Yeah.
Zone, for many series, but you don't see it for the classics like
Yeah,
The
exactly.
Haunting Hour and all that. And if they are, it's more like
We'll skip
they're
over the
low
classics.
budget channels trying to find a footing. And so I'm probably, for the second
I understand.
episode, just going to be just me going more in depth with this series, so that you and Jacob could have some time off. Because I want to try and make this a weekly thing, mainly because it gets my brain off of the big weight of everything I need to do personally. And so it gives me something to break
Yeah,
from
exactly.
the
I understand.
norm of frustrating work.
Yeah. Absolutely. I completely understand, and again, this is why I decided to really get back into it. I want to do YouTube. Maybe this not might be my calling. I could just do this as a hobby, but I enjoy it. I won't. This time we didn't do as much research. Actually, Overseer did mainly his research on the horror anthology topic, but I hope we can surprise you with the next topic. We don't have one at the moment currently, but we'll talk about it between the three of us, and hopefully plan out something. Who knows? Maybe in the future we could bring people as guests. Not, of course, popular people, but maybe friends that we've seen or we haven't talked to, and I don't know, maybe quote unquote interview / conversate with them. See how they're doing, and yeah, that's it for me. For me, well, Techno Titan / Monster. Uh, I guess we'll speak soon, and may you guys have a good rest of your night, day, whatever it is for you guys. That's it for me.
The adventure never ends when your journey begins,
Overseer?
and we'll see you next time.